Canvas Studio presents a Deerfish production. When you think about the world and all its beauty, does it make you wonder about its creation? For how many people there are many different tales on how it was made. So tell me, what do you believe in? Greetings! I am the Storyteller. Tonight I bring to you a tale from my collection of stories. So sit back and relax. Allow yourself to get enveloped by my words and envision the world that comes off from my pages.
You're funny, you know that, mister?
Am I? What makes you say that?
Well, for one thing, you're still carrying that thing around.
A girl about 16 of age, pointing to a leather book in the man's lap. Her long black hair came past her shoulders. Her lips and fingernails matched the color of her black outfit. The man chuckled. His name was Ted Fair, and the girl's name was Selena Rhyme. The two had become close friends over the years. Ted was a retired school teacher, spent the rest of his life living alone in his small home. Celine, who attended the local high school that Ted used to work at, occasionally skipped school to visit. Ted slightly tapped the leather book. Celine hanged over the rail that ran along his front porch. This book has belonged to my family for years. It was my grandmother's, and now it's mine. Celine glanced at the book.
So, it's that old.
Yes. Ted's brown eyes gazed up at the clear blue spring sky. It sure is a nice day today, said Ted.
I guess.
Celine didn't care to look at the sky. She pushed herself away from the rail and walked over to Ted. She plumped herself in the seat next to him. His outside furniture was some handmade pieces he had purchased from an Amish store years ago. Celine didn't really like the design of it, but the seats were comfy.
I'm surprised no one came by yet to get it,
she said. Ted knew she was speaking of the book without looking at her gaze. What harm can an old book like this do? They burnt the rest of them, so having one won't be so bad. He rubbed his hands together against the silk leather cover. I won't hand this over.
Still, why hold on to something like that? I mean, no one believes in it anymore. No religion, for that matter.
Ted shook his head. Yes, after all the years of conflict, the world decided it was best to rid the world of religion entirely. It's a sad fate to hear.
Yeah, but who wants to listen to some stupid guy tell us how to live? I mean, that's what's caused every war thus far,
said Celine. True, some wars were started because of them, but not every war was. Ted held the book in his hand. Selena glanced at it and then turned away. She was born many years after the decision to burn every religious artifact. She grew up, like many young people, not knowing a religion. She couldn't comprehend the idea of believing in some greater force up in the sky. In this day and age, she only knew the tales that were told or shared by the older people like Ted. Ted, however, was about 20 years of age when the decision came to be. He couldn't believe the idea of burning books, scrolls, statues, or anything else that justifies the cause. As a man of literature, he knew that religion wasn't the only reason for war, but the greed of men. Yet he, like many back then, just stood by and watched as religion was burnt out. Yet, those many years ago, Ted had kept his grandmother's book. The times have changed. The thought of even going to church was just a distant memory. Yes, times have changed. Only those old folks remember, while the young folks just stare down into their devices. However, Selena was different than most people her age. She rather skipped school and enjoyed the bright sunny day handed to her. She stretched out in the chair. Ted flipped open the book, going through the pages. She couldn't believe that one religion could fit so much into one small book. Some of the words were even in red ink. Ted stopped on one page. His focus seemed to be only on that page. Selena wondered what he was reading. She began to remember the first day she and Ted met. It was a foggy summer day when she stumbled upon his small little house. She had left her house after an argument broke out between her mother and father. She remembered when she saw Ted's house, she couldn't stop thinking about how older it was than most of the houses on the block. The older houses like Ted had been torn down and replaced with these new cube-shaped homes. Like the house? Ted asked. He held 2 bags of groceries in his arm. Selena almost jumped out of her skin from Ted's sudden appearance. He chuckled at her reaction. Did I scare you?
Yeah.
She answered, embarrassed. Ted walked to the front door. He fumbled to get his keys out of his pocket and not let go of the bags. Selena walked up to him and offered to take one of the bags from him. It was that simple gesture that began their long friendship. Selena came to visit Ted frankly just to escape her family, friends, or school life. Selena turned back to Ted, who was still reading from his book. She watched Ted as his lips moved along to what he read. The cool breeze blew past, making Selena's hair flow in her face. Ted closed the book and placed it on the table.
So how many times have you read it?
She asked while fixing her hair into a ponytail. Gosh, I'm not sure. Probably a zillion times. Ted laughed. Selena smirked at his silly joke. Yet, I can't stop reading it. He turned to her. I've always thought the idea of removing religion was idiotic. Yet, at times, some things that religion spoke of I never truly understood. Like those who believe if you accept Jesus Christ before you die, you can go to heaven.
So you're saying anyone can do that? Even a murderer?
Selena asked. Yes, that I can't believe. I mean, how can you be forgiven for a murder? Ted shook his head. There are some things I do believe in. Mostly like where do you go when we die? I do believe there's a place after death.
You mean heaven?
Selena asked. Ted nodded. Yes, that I believe in.
Why? I mean, didn't they prove like nothing like this existed? Even the existence of God. Why do you still believe in it? I mean, you just said yourself you don't believe in anything it says.
Selena stared into Ted's eyes. Ted grabbed the book and held it. Yes, I did, but I do believe in something.
Why?
Selena looked dumbfounded. She didn't know what Ted meant. Why in the world in which no one believes in anything superficial like that did he? Ted placed the book in his lap. Two birds chirped amongst the trees before flying off into the clear blue sky. Selena watched Ted's eyes narrow. With a smile he spoke. To put it simply, I must believe.
You must believe?
She asked, still unsure of what he meant. Ted turned to her with that smile. I know you don't understand. I know I can't change people's minds, and I don't intend to. However, I believe everyone must believe in something, he said. Selena truly didn't understand what ran through Ted's mind. However, it didn't bother her one bit. She smiled back at him, and then the two turned their gaze in the direction of the two birds that had flew off. The two sat and chatted until evening. On her walk home, her night shower, and the time she laid in bed, she couldn't stop thinking of Ted's reason. In this world where religion no longer exists, where all the world governments had banned it, there was still one carrying around a book of it and continued to believe, even after all the scientific research done to disprove it. Yet he continued to believe. In the many days and months and years she had known him, she still couldn't understand his reason. Whatever the cause, she threw it to the back of her mind and drifted off into sleep. The next morning, Selena took her usual walk to school, down the corner of her block, past the gas station, and take the street near Ted's house. As she came down the corner of Ted's, she noticed something unexpected. An ambulance had parked itself in front of Ted's home. Neighbors had gathered outside to see what had happened. It's sad, said one of the neighbors. It's horrible how it happened, said another. Selena turned her ears to hear the details. Apparently Ted had come out of his house, and when he took that first step off his porch, he fell. It appeared he suffered a heart attack, and with the sudden fall, he had hit his head on the pavement. A passing jogger was the one who discovered him. When the ambulance drove off with Ted's body, everyone that had gathered there left. The only one still standing was Selena. She came to the porch where she and Ted would spend their time together. She sat on the couch for a minute thinking of their conversation from yesterday. Then she heard a creak, which allowed her to see Ted's screen door was open. She stepped inside. The smell from a candle hit her nose. A sugar cookie-scented candle. Ted will always light them, making his home smell like a bakery. She loved that smell. It gave his home a more down-to-earth place. She slowly took her time inside, looking over all of Ted's pictures. Stepping further into his living room, she spotted something resting on his coffee table. It was Ted's Bible. She reached down, picking it up, becoming surprised by how light it was. From the many stories Ted had told her, she thought the book would have felt heavier. She caressed the leather cover, her fingers trailing into the indentions of the engraved golden letters that made up the name, The Holy Bible, King James Edition. The feeling of her old friend holding this book made her shiver. She still was having a hard time accepting the reality of his passing. She opened the book, searching through its pages. She recalled Ted saying he would often look to the words in the book when times were tough. She thought maybe there would be something that might help her understand. Yet she did not understand anything that she read within. She shut the book, slumping down into a couch. A clock ticked in the distance. Tears dropped from her eyes. Not wanting to have her makeup ruined, she quickly wiped away the tears. She jumped off from the couch. She went to return the Bible to his last resting place before pausing. She knew people would come in later to clear out the place. They would find the Bible and burn it. The most important thing in Ted's life would be gone just like that. Just like Ted himself. She walked out of Ted's, clutching his Bible in her arms. The sky held the mixed colors of purple and orange along with the rising of the sun. She stared up at the sky, taking in all of its beauty. She recalled how Ted would often talk about the beauty of a place called heaven. It made her wonder if it held the same kind of beauty as the morning sky. Well, for Ted at least, she hoped that the place he went to was as beautiful as the sky. Sad to hear that a world like that exists. To think that those in powers would want to rid the world of such amazing stories is a sad one indeed. However, even in a world like that, there are still a few who hold on to their beliefs no matter what. Would you do the same? I would like to thank all of you for joining me tonight, and I do hope you enjoyed this tale. This is farewell for now. However, remember these words, everyone. Though these might sound like mere words of fiction to you, for the ones who live within these pages, it is a reality.